intro. So this is the show about a show in which we were trying to figure out what this show should be about, what we should show on the show. That was the cheesiest intro I've ever done in my life.
But you managed to say the word show like 12 times.
Yeah. I'm hoping this time, the last two times,
we're doing our not to look that way.
That was weird.
All right.
Notice here below the top.
Of the big one.
We gotta figure out our intro. So this is the show about a show in which we were trying to figure out what this show should be about.
Stop. Weird.
We're like in a time loop.
Yeah. Sometimes things freak out a little bit.
So am I like the Ed McMahon and you're like the Johnny Carson? Is that how this, like every few minutes I just go, ha, great.
That's not a bad idea. Be a nice little dynamic. So I'm wondering, so last time we ended, we had this idea of bruises and cocktails. Scars and cocktails. What do you think? Is this still something we should try?
Did you run it past your wife?
No.
I didn't run it past mine either.
Should we just be totally boring and call this the Global Entrepreneurship Hangout?
Global entrepreneurial. If we called it the Global Entrepreneur Experiment, it could just be Glee.
Oh, wow. Done. GLE. The global, yeah, entrepreneurial experiment. I like that. Done. Decision made.
And we can sing, and we'll do the interviews in song form.
Well, that would be horrible.
Big mashups. It was a 15-minute mashup.
Yeah. Different entrepreneurs. But yeah, the global entrepreneurial experience. Done. That's what it's called. Because, you know, global, we got to pull them in somehow, right? So we're not cool enough to give it a good brand because no one knows what the heck's going on. So we got to pull them in with words. So we'll make it feel really big, and we'll call it the Global Entrepreneurial Experience.
Yes, there we go.
And I'll try to work on like a really, I wonder if there's a way you can do an intro with these to where it shows the intro first. Or I can just hold my phone up and do the intro on my video.
It's true.
And then just hold it up and then play it. That's kind of a cool shot. Talk.
Yeah.
Oh, it didn't work. Damn it. Oops. So global, and then we're going to do everything we said about authors and stuff like that.
Exactly. But what we can actually call it in-house is the ghetto low-tech entrepreneurial experiment.
That's true.
That's the in-house language that goes with it. And there I am, the man from the future again. Although I left my office is partly done, so if I was up there, so it's no longer like I'm living in a tunnel.
Yeah, I mean that was pretty cool. You may want to keep that.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
So now let's test. So let's both reach out to some authors on Twitter, and whoever gets the first author to agree to be on the Global Entrepreneurial Experience,
I think.
The Great Entrepreneurial Experiment. The Global Entrepreneurial.
That was just G, like G-E-E.
Yeah. G. Yeah, see, that's great. We can call it the Great Entrepreneurial Experiment, and then when people get here, they're like, "Gee, that's pretty." So we're gonna reach out. We can reach out on Twitter, or let's. What if we tried this? What if we only used Google products? So we only used Google Plus. I mean, they got to give us some props, right? And invite people to use Google Plus and totally just work with Google Plus and Google Hangouts and see if we can build this thing to something beyond us two.
Do you think that, and I don't know how it works, but is there any way to integrate this into some type of podcast at some point?
Yeah, you could probably, I mean, the video is done on YouTube. I mean, as soon as the Hangout's done, the video, you can go back and watch the video. So I'm wondering if you could either export the video and rip out the audio and just translate that to a podcast. That'd probably be the easiest thing to do.
Because I think that would give us potential a larger market for at least afterplay, even if we don't have a massive live audience.
Yeah. Well, the other thing we could do is just do a podcast that's recorded on Google Hangouts.
That's true. That's true. I think that would be really, really cool.
All right, the global entrepreneurial experience. The global entrepreneur, is it entrepreneurial or entrepreneur experience? It's such a long word.
It is a really long, the global entrepreneur experience. I mean, we can come up with something else. I was thinking of, I don't know.
Well, that sounds fancy. And until you move back to the States, we are a global show. Right? I mean, we're an international show right now.
That's right. That's right.
International reach. So in international, global, international entrepreneurial, man, that's a lot. Global startup.
Yeah, because I mean, trying to do an intro with the global entrepreneurial experience, that's really long.
Yeah.
So what else could we call it?
They should have came up with a different word than entrepreneur. It's way too long.
Yeah. Yeah, like something shorter.
Yeah. Like sauce.
Sauce.
Yeah.
I work with sauces.
Be the best sauce you can be. The sauce experiment. Let's see if we can actually get some people on Periscope to help us with this.
That's true.
So we'll title this "We Need a Name!" exclamation mark, and see what people think. Help, help, help. We need a name. Help. Start broadcast. Ooh, I wonder if I can put this out. Maybe make a shift.
And I'm checking on a cake at the same time. Hey, well, thank you for joining us. We are actually we're two entrepreneurs.
For joining us, we are starting an on-air hangout show weekly. We're at the starting phase. And see if that's the best way to do this. We need a name for the show.
And we're trying to think of a cool name for the show.
We're reaching out on Periscope to see if someone can help us name the show.
This global network.
So we thought about global entrepreneurial
We originally thought
experience.
global entrepreneur.
That's
a really long
Jack on the show here is from Copenhagen. I'm from Atlanta.
a lot of words.
We hope to one day
we do that would be
invite some people from different cities, but global entrepreneurial experience is kind of funny because we're two people on a Google Hangout, so it's not that global.
Yeah,
that's also
is telling the story of entrepreneurs in a slightly different way than other people do, because usually they talk about entrepreneurs being having it all together and hey, I'm worth I make $20 million a day just sleeping, and so what we want to do is do a live show kind of for the rest of us, for the entrepreneurs that are just getting started, for the entrepreneurs that are in the middle of a startup, or they're a few years into a startup, and kind of a place for those of us who haven't reached the yacht yet, but we're still swimming in the water or we're still staying on the beach heading towards the water. A place where we can gather, where we can learn from people who've done it above the level. That's cool. I like that. And I lost I'm live unicorn birth. Interesting. I like that too. I lost my partner in crime here. You know, if we did this show every week, would you be more likely to download it as a podcast? What do you guys think, those of you who are here? Seldomly, live stuff is going to go bigger. That's what we're trying to figure out is, do we go live or do podcasts? See, I do a lot of podcasts. I listen to a lot, so podcast download, yeah, because then you can take it, you can sync it. I mean, if you happen to be around during a live broadcast.
Periscope as well.
There we go. Brian's back now.
And also he's doing the Hangout. So
there you go, Brian.
Video settings here. I'm wondering anyone on Periscope. We're also on Google Plus.
So Seek Style, you're saying record our live shows. How would you? How would you record it? Would you have us do Hangouts and then
on air?
We just record the audio live onto a podcast? Would that work for you guys?
Hey, that's pretty cool though. That so Chrome crashed when I was doing on air, and I jumped back in, and the Hangout on, and I was the host of the Hangout on air.
Yes, you guys can
lock me right back in to the on air still broadcast.
With Brian.
Okay, say that one again because the comment just went away. I think on Periscope, if the last comment stayed up, that would be helpful because it forces you to literally.
Yeah, so Brian is on in the U.S. and I'm here in Copenhagen. So what we're trying to figure out is how do we do this thing. Yeah, I agree with you. Doing both hits more options, and that's kind of what we're after. So
see if we can get this good angle again.
Yeah, so I'm getting people saying hi to you, by the way. You can follow Brian. It is Brian. What's your middle initial? J?
J.
Yeah, so Brian J. Noel on Twitter and on Periscope. And you're obviously following me on Periscope because you're watching me. So, yeah, the people are commenting. They're saying they would love a combination of live and podcast. In case they can't make it to the Hangout, they would love to download afterwards whatever we record each week.
That means we have to learn how to do a podcast. At
Isn't that the life of an entrepreneur, though?
Yeah. Well, if there's a couple skills to master, I think in the whole video blog at brianjnoel.com, the whole video blog experience, if I never gain an audience, learning how to interview is and it's funny, I'm actually getting better. I was excited because I've done probably 15 interviews, and my first interview I said and you know, like between every single word. It was so annoying, and my questions were, instead of just saying tell me about this, I would go on like a 3-minute dissertation and then ask this big question, and they would just go, I don't even know what you're asking me. So I'm getting better at asking questions. I'm getting better at listening through doing multiple interviews. And so I guess if we start a podcast, might as well be some good transferable skills.
Yeah, so quickly, because my people are asking as well, why don't you tell us again what the show's about? Because they're helping throw out some names and they're wanting to know what they're helping to shape. So why don't you share? I shared it with them a little bit, but why don't you share with them as well?
Awesome. So this all started. It's a show right now. It's a what is this show? But essentially, in our last conversation, we talked about in the journey of entrepreneurialism, what we miss is all the in between, right? We see the We see the entrepreneurs who have made it. They've sold their companies. They've exited. They only have to work 5 hours a week. They're gluten-free. They're fit. They're perfect. They're just perfect. And as we're swimming through the ocean, desperately just trying to figure out what our next position is, right? We look at them on the beach sipping cocktails, and we miss that in between. And you've got some people who, they never jump in the water. They just sit on the shores. And then I love, Jack, your picture of, then you got the different scenarios in the ocean. You got the surfer riding the wave. You got the surfer waiting for the right wave. You've got a surfer over there being surrounded by sharks. You've got someone who quit surfing a long time ago and he's on the yacht. And that's kind of the different journeys of entrepreneurialism. So we want to capture those moments. Some of the language that we came up with so far is we want to capture, oh, I love what you said, Jack. You said when you're on the beach and you're looking out and you see this incredible surfer, this athlete, they just kind of shine, right? The sun's shining on them. They're on the beach. They look perfect. But as you walk closer, you start to notice the scars all over their body from, you know, crashing hard, from hitting rocks, from getting bit by something, whatever it is. And that's what we would love to, just absolutely love to capture. Those of us who have families, we work a lot, we're busy. It's definitely not easy. And how do we capture that and share that globally? People all over the world would be pretty cool too. So that's the idea thus far.
Yeah, I think that's great. That's what we've, yeah, I'm getting questions from Seek Style 121 is asking repeated questions or great questions. And that is, what's driving us? You know, what value do we have that's starting this off? What's the essence, which I think you just kind of hit on that. You know, what's ultimately the reason for us doing this?
Good question. You know, what's the reason that we're, as entrepreneurs, doing a lot of these things, right? That's a bad answer. But, you know, I've talked to a couple different entrepreneurs, and it's funny, all of them are different, right? So some entrepreneurs are very driven by one idea. They have it, and they will evangelize it, and they will either succeed or die trying. And then I've met some other entrepreneurs who they kind of tinker in entrepreneurialism, right? It's kind of their hobby, not a lot of pressure, but sometimes they just land on something that's really successful. But I love the way they kind of communicate. They just tinker through stuff and gain traction. And then you've got others who it's not about their ideas at all. They're just looking for problems to solve in the marketplace, and they're really good problem solvers. Some of them are inventors, right? So they just love to invent. They love to create something that hasn't been seen yet. So I think for us, I would say we're probably, Jack and I are a little bit in the, you know, a little bit in the transition and tinkering phase of, you know, we have some very specific things we want to accomplish, but how do we, the journey of going from where we are to being able to live out some of these entrepreneurial ideas and wanting to solve problems in the marketplace, how do we even get there? And how do we capture that in a way that other people who are right in our position can be inspired by that, be encouraged by that, speak into that, help us, and we help them. So I don't know if that answered the question, but.
Yeah, I think so, definitely. I've got to run real quick. Just for a second, somebody's ringing my door. So
nice. Hey,
sorry.
You need to take us on Periscope to the door.
I'll be right back. Periscope people, hold on just a second. I'll be right back.
So we had several people on Periscope earlier. We were trying to come up with a name for the show, and apparently with Periscope, if you've got your battery saver on, it automatically stops your Periscope. But anyway, so here's what we're doing. So we got Jack Fussell. I just launched Periscope again. We got Jack Fussell from Copenhagen. Say hi.
Hey, everybody.
And he's also on Periscope. So we're like, this is like the nerdiest moment I've ever. We're on an on-air hangout with Google Plus, and we both got our phones up sharing Periscope. So we were like we'll probably, if I thought about this, Jack, with the different things we're trying to do, and also on Periscope, guys, I just launched a video blog, and it's in its early stage, to say the least. So I'll say it's pretty corny. But if we end up on Tosh.0 being made fun of, because it may happen. I mean, I'm just, I'm gonna go to. I've decided that I'm going to be really excited and consider that a major accomplishment if we get made fun of on Tosh.0. So I'm throwing that out there.
Yeah, so people are throwing out names. Someone just keeps writing the word gay over and over again. So I don't,
is that another name, or are they just saying that we're gay?
Yeah, I don't know if that stands for something. Someone else keeps saying foot stride because they like the sense of movement.
Well, that's cool.
Someone said something related to the future, like the future knocking at your door, like something related to that. The same person keeps writing gay over and over again.
I'm just wondering, like, what do you do in life if you just hop on Periscope and say gay 50 times? I'm like, it's pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, and they all went silent. I silenced my crowd.
So we're trying to come up with a name for our What Is This Show? We want to highlight the scars that entrepreneurs face, and because we're all in those transitions and all trying to figure some things out, and so we're just a couple of nerdy entrepreneurs experimenting with cool things like Periscope and Hangouts, and so we're thinking podcasts. So of course, podcast movement. Let's do a podcast. I wouldn't mind being really great at developing a podcast. I think that'll be a good extension of the video blog, and
it would give us traction as well as others that we meet. I mean, part of what we do is we're also giving platform to those who are, I think so many times, and I think that's changed in the last few years, but I think for such a long time it was, I'm on my raft, I'm on my surfboard, there's only place for one, and if you try to grab on, I'm going to push you off. And I think part of what we're doing too is we're saying, let's replace that mentality, not have this is my surfboard, but this is my big surfboard, and there's room for others. And the more of us that are on, if you think of a boat instead, I can row by myself, or if we jump in together, we can actually help move somewhere faster. So I think it's also that sense of we're creating a platform and a place for others to come along that we can give an audience to their cause and to their movement or to their idea or whatever. We can even have, what I love about this, which I think would be really cool too, is if we're talking to someone who has an idea or they're stuck or they're whatever, we can also have people interact and actually give solutions.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which would be really cool as well. So I think it's that mentality too, is a podcast would give us the ability to promote people, the ability to give people a voice if they don't have it, or to help build up or shape their voice at the same time. And then to also hear from those who've done it and who've succeeded. So I think I think that's going to be kind of what differentiates us from a lot of the other podcasts out there.
So, do we got to go buy some mics?
I guess so.
So, 5 people on Periscope. We need a name for a show. We're trying to name this thing. What was the one? What was the couple ideas that you got? Your Periscope audience had?
Gay. Someone else said outrigger.
Outrigger? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, which is really cool. Someone else said foot stride because they were thinking instead of footsteps, foot stride, like movement, and something to do with the future. So for those of you who just chimed in, because I've lost a few people, but also added on Periscope, we're 2 entrepreneurs and we have a weekly Google Hangout that we're getting ready to take to a podcast apparently. That just happened in the last few minutes. And then, but it's really just a show about for entrepreneurs who are moving along. They're either out in the journey, they've already launched, or they're contemplating the journey, whatever it is. A place to give voice to those who are moving along. In a place where we'll interview, we'll talk to people that have already made it or who are a few steps ahead of us. It could be with well-known authors, it could be with great podcasters, whatever. But really just a place for those of us who have the ideas, but more than ideas, we want to actually do them. A place where we can kind of hang out and give each other, voice, give each other space, and just help create that movement for each other. So if you have any name ideas, either right now or even afterwards, if you're afterwards, tweet them to me or to Brian. It's Brian J. Noel on Twitter. And you can tweet either one of us any names you have or whatever. And we're around every Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, wherever you are around the globe. I'm in Copenhagen. Brian's in Atlanta, Georgia. And next week he's broadcasting live from California, correct?
Yeah, that's 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right?
Oh, sorry. Gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm in the wrong. Yeah, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2 p.m. Copenhagen time, if you set your watches by Copenhagen time. I know most of the world does.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll be broadcasting from Laguna Beach. Let's see, 8 a.m. Eastern time. Was that 3 hours back? So I'll be up pretty early next week. I hope to maybe I can walk to the beach and broadcast from the beach. That'd be pretty nice.
That'd be cool.
So, okay, now I actually have my notes up and I'm typing. So give me all those names again because those were really good.
Yeah, we have Outrigger.
That one is really cool. I'm thinking Outrigger could be like an incredible name for a entrepreneurial clothing line.
Yes.
That would be legit.
It would be. Hey, thanks for joining us, Johnny. Have a good day. Yeah, it could be an awesome name for a clothing line. It could be a great name for a entrepreneurial conference that we do like in Hawaii or something. Somewhere where it's warm.
Yes.
Another person said foot stride. Another person said something to do with the future. That's all they literally wrote that, something to do with the future. And I think I lost ever who that was throughout the other ideas. But we had a few people actually hanging out with us there for a few minutes with some good names. So
I saw a heart on someone liked. Was it foot stride that you liked? I assume the little heart floating up means that they like that. Yes, another heart. So foot stride. So outrigger, foot stride, something of the future, entrepreneurial, the global entrepreneurial experiment. That's one of them. Glee.
Yeah, Glee, where we have to sing the entire event.
Yeah.
Which could be fun because don't you have a theater background?
No.
Oh, production or something, right?
Yeah, production.
There we go.
I shoot the lights at the talent. Entrepreneurial, global.
Hey there. I don't know who that is. Who is that? Oops. Your profile.
We can talk about starting across the pond. Start up across the pond. Around the pond. So if it's across the pond, we're just all around the pond. So we can say entrepreneurs around the pond.
That's true. Yeah, someone else said navigate, and I got a heart. Navigate, navigation. Yeah, I think that was it from them. No, fine, Johnny, no problem. Johnny likes boat, so he's throwing out all the boat terminology at us, which I think is awesome. I live in Copenhagen, so we're a boat city, which is awesome.
Target success. Is that Michael? Who posted that?
What do we need a name for? Quickly, we are doing a weekly. Brian and I'm in Copenhagen. I'm an entrepreneur, and Brian is also a fellow entrepreneur in Atlanta, Georgia. And every week we gather for a Google Hangout, and we're launching, apparently, as of today, a podcast in the future, which will be these Hangouts that you can download. And what we're doing is every week just gathering people who are entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs, and just inspiring each other through stories. So interviewing people who have made it, who are doing great things, but also just giving kind of that encouragement type space. And so a lot of podcasts are always the guy who makes $25 million a day by just sleeping. You know, he works 30 minutes and, you know, people invite him just to come talk because he's so cool. And a very few of us are there. Most of us are, you know, that guy's on the yacht with the cocktails and being banned by goddesses. And the rest of us are paddling, just trying to stay above water. Or we're standing on the shore, not even sure if we're ready to get in the water. And so we're wanting to give space and encouragement to those who are on the beach, ready to jump in, or the ones who are dog paddling trying to save their lives. The ones who have ideas and they're getting up on them, you know, like up on a board or in a boat or whatever. And so we're trying in that middle space also to celebrate those who have made it, but to also give some space and some, you know, just a place for people who are in that middle of the road process, somewhere there navigating it. So that was another answer to your question. So if you have a name or an adjective or a verb or something you think describes that, you can chime in right now or even afterwards, you know, whatever. You can tweet it to us, either one of us. Cool. I'm glad you love this idea. We're around, ooh, that's a good one. Johnny wrote the jump in.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, that's really cool. And so we're around every week, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I screwed that up earlier. I'm in Copenhagen, so it's 2 p.m. for me, or 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But it is a global broadcast. And we're two geeks. We both have our phones up, and we're both, you know, trying this thing. So we would love to have you guys hang out with us every week. And once we get the podcast up, we'll let you know what that is and how to find that. So you can listen to us in your car or at the gym, whatever.
The jump in. So Frosty,
yeah, that's really cool.
String, you like that one? The jump in. It's when a little heart floats up. Like, it's just amazing how much joy that brings. It's really funny how something that small can be so exciting.
Yeah. So yeah, the jump in, man, that's hot. Another Annika, I think, just wrote the jump in is great. She loves that name.
Oh, maybe we should just go ahead and just say yes.
Neil chimed in with the edge.
Ooh, I like the edge. That's cool.
So that's cool.
You think Aerosmith will give us the rights to Living on the Edge for the intro music?
Or if the Edge will give us
all of his background track. That would be sick, yes.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll lay down a track for us.
Yeah. So it's really funny. I heard about their songwriting style. I just have to say this really quick. But so the guitarist and drummer, so Edge and the drummer, they go out and they just develop different, like they'll just practice by themselves and come up with all these great riffs. And they'll come up with like 50, 60, 70 great riffs with different sounds, all that kind of stuff, obviously, because they have a pretty unique sound. And then after that, Bono writes, right? So then they come together after, you know, months and months, and then they just sit down, and the guitar player and the drummer will be playing these riffs, and then Bono will, you know, he'll kind of just feel it, be inspired, and then that will inspire him to know what lyrics he should apply to that. I don't know where I heard that from, but I thought that was pretty cool.
That is really cool. That is really cool.
So I wonder how we
have a listener, by the way, from Puerto Rico right now. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you want to chime in real fast, just tell me where you're from. That would be awesome. Yeah. He had a great idea. He said we should force our podcast on everyone's iPod globally, the way U2 did their album.
Yes, I think we need a little
That
bit
worked
more
out so
clout.
well for them.
Just a little bit more clout to be able to do that, but that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, we have a listener from Sweden as well. Yeah, well, I mean, doesn't that just piss you off when someone gives you free music? I mean, that's outrageous.
I know. It's funny how, you know, all these companies are using our data and doing all of these things, then the one person that leverages that access to give us something,
Yeah, we freak out about.
we get pissed off.
I mean, Obama is listening to us right now, and we're not freaked out by that, but yeah.
I know. So I wonder what these young kids are doing on Google Hangout.
Yeah. Let me find the show with the least amount of viewers, and let's see what they're doing right now.
That's right. All right, so I think the jump in, man. I think the
jump in is really cool.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and do that.
All right, Johnny, if you're still on, Johnny's from Florida. Actually, what part of Florida? I'll be there. Brian and I will both be there in August. So let us know where you're from. That's maybe where all the boat ideas are coming from. Is your Florida influence? I'm actually originally from Florida, from Jacksonville, and tons of family near Clearwater and all that area. So. Ooh, the jump off. Someone said, what if you twisted it to jump off?
Yeah, like that. The jump off.
Yeah, I'm waiting to hear. I don't know where he's from. Yeah, so the question is, how do you and I then need to work on how to make this podcast thing happen?
You know what that means? Hours of tutorials.
Yes.
And we have to we gotta take this approach, right? So from the very first time we get two microphones and we start talking, that's the first podcast we have to podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I guess this could be the first episode. We could just export this and turn it into audio and just upload it. That works for me.
Well, I think it's really great with Periscope because it gives us that interaction. Which is great. And I mean, a lot of the podcast, if you watch Lou Mangello and any of those guys, he's doing video, audio, and Periscope now. I mean, he looks almost like he has, ADD because he's like looking at all of the screens at the same time. But I mean, it's a great model because it allows you to actually connect with people in multiple different approaches. So I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, that's cool. So
yeah, I agree. So Johnny, before I have you on there right now, you're listening. Where are you from in Florida? I'll come back to you when you respond.
So awesome. So we're 3 shows in. The first show we just talked about a show. The second show we started talking about some meat that we want to have in the show. We want to go after a lot of these podcasts and business and entrepreneurialism. They all interview the same 10, and a lot of them ask the same questions. Now, fortunately, there's some incredible brands out there, podcasts, just asking really good, solid questions. So we feel like a good, unique identifier for us will be this idea of, when you're looking way back, you look at these people and you're like, man, they're perfect, right? Can I be that cool? Can I be that smart? Can I be that entrepreneurial? Can I be that wise? But when you get up close to them, number one, they're people. But number two, you start noticing the scars they have and some of the pains they went through. And I love the question you said that we should ask them. And that's, when was the last time you were scared? Man, what an awesome question. So those are the kind of questions we want to ask. And we want to go after, obviously, everyone loves to talk to those who are, super famous, right? But we also want to go after, some of those that are where we are, right? In the middle or a little further ahead of us. And it sounds like we've identified a name for this podcast / thing as the jump in. Michael,
Yeah.
is that yeah? So now Entrepreneurial Today. He said I got one name as Entrepreneurial Today, and it's funny, or Entrepreneur Today, which is that's a good classic name. But I I read about somewhere, I don't remember where I read this, but Entrepreneur magazine, they have a lot trademarked around that name. So you have to be with the word entrepreneur, you have to be careful, which is interesting for a community that captures entrepreneurs to trademark the word entrepreneur.
Yeah. Yeah.
But actually, Entrepreneur Today is like fair impressa.
By the way, our friend Johnny is actually from Tarpon Springs, which is near Clearwater. I was there last year. We have family all over Clearwater. My wife's family's Greek, and huge Greek population in Tarpon. And so we were there eating last year when we were in the States. And Brian and I will both be in Orlando in August doing some branding and storytelling sessions. So we'll be nearby. So thanks for tuning in, Johnny, from Tarpon Springs. Great Greek food down there. Great Greek food. That whole area.
Italian making business. So do we have someone here from Italy as well?
Oh, cool.
Making business. Oh, that's pretty cool. He's throwing out some cool names with some Italian flair. So I, in my Southeast upbringing here in Georgia, I'm trying to the best of my ability to pronounce this. I apologize in advance. Yes, lots of hearts coming from that statement. Yeah, it's cool. So do what we can.
Cool.
Awesome. All right, man. Well, so Google Hangout. Let's see. Next week I'll be. So really, I guess the next step is who's the guy? There's the blogger who he does a podcast. He's the guy who has the actual how much income he makes per month on his blog. And
is that Pat Flynn?
What is it?
Is it Pat Flynn?
Maybe. Let me look that up. He I landed on some of his content. Yeah, the passive income blog.
Passive income, yeah.
And man, he's got. It's funny, you know. A lot of people are like, "What a jerk to put how much money he makes." But I mean, that's his brand, right? So, but tons of great resources, and he has a whole series on how to launch a podcast, the gear, the equipment, technology. You know, how to do it at no cost. So, sounds like I'll be reading a lot more of his stuff.
Yeah, I'll look through his stuff too. He's got great resources, and a great series of podcasts as well.
Mm-hmm. So his tagline, his main headline here is "Let's see what works," and that's smartpassiveincome.com.
Yeah.
So I'd say for us, let's see if some of the stuff works.
Yeah. Totally.
So another business idea is a site that I can go to where if I want to start podcasting or video blogging, it's kits. So if I can afford $100, $500, $1,000, and I mean, you could just do this through Amazon, but all it is a basket of everything I need and some how-to guides. Like that would just be easy.
Yeah. Well, I say, and I guess our listeners are listening in, so they could steal the idea faster. I say we put it together for us, and then we create that.
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
We write up the guide, an ebook type deal or PDF or whatever they would get, a book or whatever, that could walk them through the whole process.
I like that.
And at the higher price point, then they could actually get some. They would get some Skype type interaction with us.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
So,
right.
But we should probably get ours going first. The practical side of the entrepreneur in me.
The best way to get really good at something is to start charging for it, because then you have the pressure of actually delivering.
That's true. That's true.
That's just about every strategist and consultant, right?
That's what my my roofer said when I asked him why it took 10 weeks to put my roof on. He said it's a learning experiment.
That's pretty
Don't
awesome.
learn on my house, learn on someone else's.
That's somewhat scary.
So I picture him out there with like his iPhone doing, YouTube videos on how to install a roof. But if he was smart, he would video himself doing it, and then he could sell those videos.
That's funny. I could only imagine someone working on my house and I go hang out with them and they're watching YouTube on how to do it. That's pretty funny. That would actually be a nice little spoof for a funny video series for the podcast.
Yeah, that's true.
So what are you watching, Joe the Plumber? YouTube video on how to be a plumber.
Yeah, exactly.
Pay me $300. All right. So until next week, I haven't heard back from our Orlando connection to see Brave Entrepreneurs. Oh, I like that too. I like the word brave. Good word.
Sounds cool. Brave Entrepreneurs.
Brave's a good word. Brave heart. Yes, I got lots of hearts on that one. I think, okay, so real quick, too, I got to share this. I was listening to an HBR podcast, and this was really cool. And it talked about how, it was just talking about, schedule efficiency and setting up our schedules and all that kind of stuff. And it talked about how the first 3 hours of the day are your most productive. It's when you have the most energy, and how your energy fluctuates throughout the day. And it talked about how, you don't answer emails first because that puts your brain in reactive mode. Then you put your best energy towards reacting to other people's emergencies, blah, 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 blah. We've heard that for a while. But another piece that they talked about was really cool was, exercise is not just for the way you look externally. It's all the blood flow to your brain, helps you remember things. It helps you be more creative. The other thing they were talking about that was really cool is when you go home, right? You eat dinner, have a glass of wine, whatever it is, the ability to disconnect. And they were talking about how this guy done, a decade worth of research. He had completed a decade worth of research. And, like when you go home and play Nintendo, is that what they call it anymore? Sorry, that's
Atari?
Yeah. But when they play these incredible video games, the question that the podcast lady asked, the HBR, she's amazing. I don't know her name, but she's a really good interviewer. But she said, is that just because people want to, be a vegetable, right? They just want to turn it all off and just don't think, right? And he's like, no. He's like, what we found is those types of things you get, the reason people have so much satisfaction from those and not from work is because the way they're set up. You get immediate feedback on your performance. You get immediate gratification for advancing. You get, if you do something wrong, you get immediate, triggers on, hey, you screwed up, right? You just got shot or whatever it is you're playing. But he was just talking about how at work, you get a review a couple times a year, maybe once a month if you're lucky. And there's not just this constant state of how am I doing, the fun side of it, the gamification side of it, the competition side of it, and all of that from seeing these little hearts come up, right? So I thought that was pretty interesting. Maybe we should we can ingrain that fabric with engaging our audience, right? So if we can go back and capture on Periscope whoever commented and hung out with us, and like put them on the blog and say thank you for our Periscope audience, and such and such, thank you for the recommendations, shout out to them and tweets to them and stuff like that. But just immediate gratification for people who interact with us. I think if we figure that out, we could probably grow an audience.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. I think that's really cool. We just have to figure out how to do it. I think after your Periscope, you can see all your viewers.
Yeah.
So it'll just take 2 computers, I think, to do it live.
Yeah.
So that's doable. Nice.
All right, buddy. We'll tell the family we said hey, and we'll I'm sure we'll have a conversation in between, but if not, I'll see you bright and early on the West Coast next week at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
All right. Man, thanks so much, and tell your family hello as well.
Will do.